Liz Cheney, daughter of former Vice President Dick Cheney, currently a congresswoman from the state of Wyoming, has just been defeated or ousted from the ranks of leadership within the GOP in the House of Representatives, having lost her position as chair of the House of Republican Conference. Though she will still be representing the state of Wyoming as the lone Republican representative of that state, and she'll wait out the rest of her term, but she pretty much has no power, no say. And by all reports, she got zero support from any of her fellow Republican congressmen and women during this committee. Now, this is all stemming from her very vocal, I guess you can say, condemnation of former President Donald Trump, as well as her being one of the few Republicans to actually vote for his impeachment. But she is going down swinging. She is taking all prisoners, will not go down without a fight, as you can hear from this press conference she did after her ousting.
I will do everything I can to ensure that the former president never again gets anywhere near the Oval Office. We have seen the danger that he continues to provoke with his language. We have seen his lack of commitment and dedication to the Constitution, and I think it's very important that we make sure whomever we elect is somebody who will be faithful to the Constitution.
By the way, a little side note, this was the scene at that very press conference you just saw her at in Washington as she was ousted. If this is okay for reporters and politicians to be in a confined room like this, that many of them, every business in every state needs to be allowed to open to full capacity immediately. Schools also need to be open. Our kids are suffering, working at home, trying to do this distance learning that is not working. They're not able to pay as well attention. And small business owners, franchisees are struggling as they're not able to, I guess, generate as much revenue as they possibly could because they're forced to be at either 25% capacity, 50% capacity. So for those businesses not in Florida or not in Texas or Mississippi and whatever other few states that haven't opened fully yet, if you're in those, you need to advocate for that, seriously. Now, I think it's fine that she got ousted from her role as the chair of the House of Republicans. If she did not align with or was in opposition with the party as a whole, what they're trying to do nationally. Because Republicans in Georgia, Florida, Texas, for instance, may have different beliefs and different goals and or interests that may be opposed to the people, the Republicans in Wyoming, to which she's supposed to represent. And that would be fine. Problem is, according to this political article, there was a poll taken in her own state in late April that found that not only is her favorability rating underwater, but as much as 52% of those in Wyoming polled or surveyed said that they would not back Cheney regardless of who was running against her. Whoa, 52% would not re-elect her as their state representative in Congress, regardless of who was going against her. That they're basically saying the local grocer could be running against her, and they'll vote for the grocer over her any day. That is huge in and of itself. And what's bad is that only 14% said that they would support her no matter what. Which still leaves in about 34%, if I'm doing my math right. Another 34% who may not be to the extreme as the other half that said they'll vote for anyone over her, but somewhere in the middle, more moderate and reasonable in that they're not liking the direction that she's headed, the things that she's saying, and she may no longer represent them, but they're not going to vote for her over just anybody. They're not going to do the vote red no matter who, but rather it has to be someone who they believe is better, but they're at least open to the possibility of someone being better. So that leaves about a total of 86% of the Republicans in the state of Wyoming, where she's from and supposedly representing her, that is not backing her or not supporting her. So my question is, who does Liz Cheney apparently speak for? Because apparently it's not the people in her own party, let alone the people she's supposed to represent in Wyoming. In fact, 3 months ago, back in, I believe, February, the Republican Party of Wyoming already censored her, as well as half of the GOP counties in the state of Wyoming censored Liz Cheney already. So she's vehemently opposed to the people she's supposed to represent in her own state. And again, my question to y'all in the comment section is, aren't these elected officials supposed to be representing you, the people who put them in office? So if you vote for a candidate that says they're going to do X, Y, and Z and or speak on your behalf, shouldn't they be doing that? Because what seems to be happening that I've noticed is that these elected officials, once they get into office or get into power, they now start acting like dictators, magistrates, kings, monarchs, queens, what have you, and start dictating to the very people that they're supposed to be representing, as opposed to coming to the people in their respective communities, respective states, and saying, here are the proposed laws, here are the proposed mandates or legislations, what do you think? And or what items of discussion have not been brought up already that you would like me to bring up to the state legislature, bring up to the Congress, to the Senate, so whether we're talking about local or national. They don't seem to be doing that anymore. Instead, they're dictating to you what needs to be, what should be done. We saw this a lot during the pandemic last year, where again, it would be one thing if a lot of the mandates that transpired were voted on. For instance, let's use Michigan, for instance. It would be one thing if the people got together and reached out to their local city, town, and state representatives and said, you know what, state legislature, of Michigan, I would like for you to tape off certain sections of Walmart so we can't buy those clothes, buy those toys, buy those gardening tools. I like the idea of being told not to go to my second home with me and my family if we so desired, or not being able to go out on my boat by myself in Lake Erie and do whatever. I like that. That's what we want. We want you to dictate to us what we need to do. We want you to close those businesses. We want you to close those schools, as opposed to having all of these rules just dictated to us and told this is what's going to happen. And that's a scary thing that I'm starting to notice. So I just want to know your thoughts on it. Do you feel as though politician, an elected official, should represent you and come to you with the desires of the community, even if it's not overwhelmingly 100% agreed upon, because no group of people are going to agree 100% on everything, but at least if there should be a majority consensus of some sense, because I'm not seeing that, or haven't been seeing that lately. Instead, what I see are, again, elected officials telling the people they're supposed to represent, this is the path, this is the goal, this is what's real, this is what's true. And if anything, Liz is an example of the establishment, because Donald Trump worked with the establishment on a lot of things, I'm not going to lie, and him not freeing Julia Assange, allowing a lot of these states to go buckshot with the Constitution in terms of the restrictions during the pandemic that were very much unconstitutional, and not opposing Dr. Fauci more, and or even giving him that platform to begin with, was very problematic. I have my issues with Trump, but he was also not 100% with the establishment. He fought against the establishment a lot, including, again, the Iraq War and former Vice President Dick Cheney, and that's what I think she is representing, and that is the establishment trying to get back at him in any way possible. But it seems as though the Republican Party is heading in a much different direction, and I'm just very interested to see where this goes. So that's all I had. Don't forget to like this video if you agree. Don't forget to comment on this video. Subscribe to this channel. This is Bruce the Boss Brooks, and I'm out. Peace.